The Yala swamp covers an approximate area of 17,500 hectares, inclusive of Lake Kanyaboli, Lake Namboyo, and Lake Sare. The swamp is home to some of the world's most unique flora and fauna.
Yala swamp happened to be a rare resource in Kenya by the virtue that it's a wetland, it has a number of lakes, and then it's in the tropics. This makes the ecosystem to be very rich in fauna at the same time with flora.
In the 1960s, the Kenyan government reclaimed part of the swamp as a human resettlement area. For any large-scale industrial activity to be implemented, the law requires that an elaborate environmental impact assessment be carried out by independent and approved environmental consultants. The National Environmental Management Authority is charged with this function and issues a license upon study and approval of any project proposal. In May 2004, Dominion signed an MOU with Bondo and Siaya County Councils to lease Yala Swamp for 25 years. In August 2004, the National Environmental Management Authority issued a license for Dominion Farms to rehabilitate and develop a rice irrigation scheme for commercial purposes at the Yala Swamp. After study of its environmental impact assessment document, the Bondo and Siaya local county councils approved Dominion to carry out rice farming in the area. An initial 2,300 hectares of reclaimed swampland was earmarked for the project. The agreements were negotiated without involvement of the surrounding Bondo, Siaya, and Busia communities, contrary to the provisions of the Trust Lands Act. According to Dominion Farm's initial EIA document, it intends to grow rice on its fields destined for export markets. In the recent past, Dominion Farm began implementing other projects without having been licensed by NEMA. These include the diversion of River Yala to create a dam for hydroelectric power generation, water canals that feed the farm's fields, and cage culture in Lake Kanyaboli. These have been undertaken even before NEMA obtained views from the public and other stakeholders, contrary to the provisions of the Environment Management and Coordination Act of 1999.
The problem about this type of thing, where investors don't declare beforehand the type of activities that they're going to undertake, is that it becomes very difficult to come up with a way of compensating or revenue sharing for the local people, because when you compensate them based on a plan that has been given you to the investor, and then the investor comes up and changes his plans and goes into production of high value products, that I think is the place where the farmers the producers are really disenfranchised.
Affected communities, NGOs, and environment management organizations have come together to uphold people's rights. After careful study of Dominion's environmental impact assessment document, it has become apparent that there would be more damage than gains should the project carry on. The company has totally disregarded the socio-economic benefits and cultural heritage of the surrounding communities.
The first problem which you find with the developers is that they do feel that the resource is idle. But this is where the conflict comes with the local community, because for a long time they have been using that resource economically as a source of food. This is where they go farming. You also find that all the grazing takes place in the wetland.
As a result of the damming project, Dominion has extended its initial approved demarcated boundary and has forcefully erected beacons encroaching into the homesteads surrounding the area. The project has since created a myriad of problems to the surrounding local communities. It's reported the company has used the local administrators to push for their agendas. Yala Dindo narrates one of her many ordeals at the hands of the local administration.
Kani wagoko ne angomi mayo wakata kamwa umbe wagoko yao serikali kukonywa wago koko do nam kacha ye ur mondo ukonyo kich nam ikawo to onge kama umbe utieno no nondo na de chedo kiny ne gibiro gi polisi magibiro ne gibiro gimako nyithinda
The provincial administration is completely dead here, plus the MP is on the other side of the dominion. They leave us here without any protection.
Mary Oware is a widow. She returned home one day from her daily activities to find a beacon irregularly fixed in her compound. Now, the floods have literally washed up to her homestead.
Nasema, mama weka sei. Mimi nauliza na weka sei naenda wapi? We nakataa pesa ya msungu? Ndio namwambia mimi. Nakataa pesa ya msungu. Mimi nasema pesa ya msungu ni tamu. Na nitaenda wapi? Ndio masikilizo sisi hakuna na hawa wanasema kama nakataa shauri yako utalia. Na mimi nasema nalia nyamna gani? Hata dio na kisasema kama nakataa kuweka maji taingilia kwa.
The local people have put up a resistance to the investors' compensation process, rejecting the offer as unjust and demeaning.
There must be absolute declaration by investors on what their intentions both now and in the future is going to be, so that when we work out compensation to the local communities, we are factoring in the future potential revenue stream that is going to be derived from those projects and compensate farmers adequately, or producers or local communities. But also I must say that it is important that some of these projects must also bring a lot of the local people on board. They must be participants. They must be active participants and participate not only in the projects but also in the revenue sharing.